Hi. I was debating on whether or not to make this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it. I did take a nap, and so I look like crap. But one thing about people and how they behave and how they react is not really your problem. How you respond is up to you. Is on you. You know what I mean? You can't control how people behave or the outcomes of situations, but you can control how you react or how you respond. And for me, when people hurt me, I learned that on my healing journey, part of the thing that makes me strong is the pain. See, because I've been hurt my whole life. I've been hurt so bad by a lot of people, and I forgave all these people. The thing about it is that God showed me a way how to transmute that energy, how to transmute that pain and turn it into power, how to transmute that energy into my purpose, into something positive, to find the silver lining in it and share it with the world. And the thing about me is I don't like to apply the pressure. I don't like to be aggressive or fight or anything, but when that dark side comes out in me, I embrace it. I thrive in it. It's almost as if God made that pain, the very thing that was meant to destroy and break me, God made it my power. And that's real. That's for real. And so it actually, when people aggravate me or antagonize me, and I'm not coming off as like, oh, you better not make me mad or I'm going to get you, like the Incredible Hulk green thing. Now I'm saying like people with bad intentions, you know, come to understand that people who hurt people are hurt themselves and they're unhealed. And I've learned over time that they're just never going to apologize. Some people will not apologize, and I've accepted that because God gives you the apology. God apologizes for them, and he asks us to forgive people who hurt us because he says he forgave us, so we should forgive. Anyway, hold on real quick. So anyway, what I wanted to say was that people from the past, when you're on your healing journey and you've done healed, people from the past will come back into your life. And I asked God, why are they coming back? And he said, because they've seen your journey and they saw how you rose above what you've been through, and they're proud of you. And he says, but part of their journey, on their healing journey, is to take accountability. They might be stuck now. Things in their life may not be what they used to be. All the glam and all that stuff is all gone now. The party's over, and he's saying, for those people, he's saying, the ones who didn't have time for you, or the ones who hurt you and didn't think nothing of you, took your love for granted. He goes, they had better things to do. They had better things to see, and they didn't have time for you. And they hurt you. Some even ghosted you. He goes, and they never apologized. He goes, but instead of emulating that energy and hurting other people, because remember, only unhealed people would do stuff like that. He goes, you took it and you embraced it. He goes, and when you couldn't take it anymore, you cried out for me, and I came to you. And it's true, he did, because I was devastated. And I'm not blaming my whole life on just that one situation of somebody hurting me. It was a series of many people who I trusted and gave to that did this to me with no F's given, no cares in the world, going about their life. And I was left for dead. I had to pick up the pieces to my heart and myself, and I went into like a dark, depressive mode, and I was just broken beyond repair. And it took for God to come answer me because I felt like taking my life. I'm not going to even lie to you at that time. But this is from a series of my whole life, things that have been going on in the past when, getting hurt. But one thing about me, God said, was that I always forgave. I always forgave people who hurt me. I always gave them chances, and I never judged the next relationship based on what had happened in the previous one. And it always seemed that I was the one who got hurt. I was the one who they didn't choose. They chose someone else. Or that was always the one that wasn't good enough for them. Or there was flaws to me that just they couldn't overlook, And it took a long time for me to have self-love. That was my hardest lesson, was self-love. I couldn't give to myself what I would give to everybody else. And so that was one of my hardest lessons, I'll tell you, I promise you. But forgiving was an easy one for me. Taking accountability was an easy one for me. Not everybody's the same. One thing that people are going to have to learn is that if you've ever heard of chosen, and I'm a chosen, any opportunity that you've hurt them or you've left them for dead or you walked out of their life, if you ever blessed with an opportunity in their life again, it is for one reason and one reason only, and it is for you to take accountability, for you to own up to it, because they are owed an apology. And I'm the type of person to be like, nah, I'm good, God. Like, you gave me the apology. I'm good. I'm straight. And God's like, no. There was some things that people did that I don't even know about behind my back. He says, and they know they owe you apology. They've replayed it in their head many times. They've tried to write it, text it, and they would delete it. Because the whole time you were hurting, they were hurting too. They were thinking about you, but they were out having fun, living their life. And all that energy they had was your energy, because you were sitting at home in despair, sad, and you were heartbroken and crying, and they were living their best life. On to the next best thing. Didn't think twice about looking back. He says, but now the things have changed because the party's over and the players are now older, and their games and the way they move, it's not amusing no more. People are catching on to it. People have caught on to it. People are tired of it. People are not amused. A lot of people are just seeing them for what it is, and they're not dealing with it. So a lot of things have backfired on these people. A lot of things, they've got into karmic situations. They've had, they're stuck in karmic relationships with children that they've had on accident, or they're tied to karmic toxic people, and they're not happy. They're not happy. And so God says, and they know now that they regret that you were a good person, because they saw your journey. They followed you along your journey, but they always stayed hidden in the shadows. Never giving you credit, never giving you the apology, and seeing you persevere through everything. He goes, they saw you. And he says, and they're proud of you because they can't believe how much you've taken and what you have endured from what they know, on top of what you were still going through. They're mind blown. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't really need the apology. I don't care for it. God gave it to me. And God goes, you're going to get it. You're going to get the apology. He goes, and part of their punishment is, because he kept telling me, don't block people. Don't block them on Facebook. Don't block people on Facebook. And I was like, why? He says, because part of their punishment is to watch you go on and live your life and be happy and free. And they have to watch you live your life without them. And they have to realize the loss they took and the sacrifice. They sacrificed you for their own happiness. He goes, but now the tables have changed. He goes, because now that energy is run out. That's how much energy the Chosens have, because of all their good deeds and the good seeds they sow. They rack up good karma from healing people, help. When you bless somebody, you get a double blessing in return. And I'm the type of person that I won't really manifest things for myself. I won't really ask much for God. If I have everything I need, I'm good. So I have a lot of good karma in my hands, and I have a lot of energy. And God says, and your energy is for you. It's yours. Your light is yours, because if you give it away to everybody, you won't have nothing left for yourself. And that was another lesson I had to learn. He says, because they don't appreciate it. They didn't appreciate you then, and they still don't appreciate you. He goes, because if they appreciate you, they would give you the apology. The time that they're back appearing now, he goes, is an opportunity for them. It's not for you. It's not nothing that you need to clear up or clarify. You have all the clarity you need. You have all the truth you need. You see it for what it is. You know all the facts, because God enlightened me to them. He goes, you know everything you need to know about the whole situation and everybody involved. He goes, they're back thinking, I got an opportunity. I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna do this again, because for some reason or another, their lucks ran out, or they're stuck in situations that they don't want to be in, or things are not as abundant as they used to be. And he says, and they think that you did spell work or something on them. He goes, that's what they think. They think that you cursed them or did something, that you're playing in their face, and it's nothing like that at all. Because I don't put nothing out there I don't want done to me. He goes, that's just the way they move and what they think, because that's what they would do. You're not the first one they've done this to. He says, but their pride and ego, and that winning at all cost, is going to cost them, very much so, their own life. He says, like Judas, they betrayed Jesus with the kiss. He goes, and like Judas, they will hang their own selves. Their fate will be that of their own hand. You did nothing wrong. He goes, now it's up to you to whether you want to pursue a friendship with them, if they're even deserving of one. He goes, and they're not, because they're not even sorry. He goes, and they can't seem to figure out why their life came out the way it did. Because they might, on the outside, it looks real nice. Don't be fooled. God says, don't be fooled. All that glitters isn't gold. And a lot of things they have, they don't have no more. It's all personification. It's all just, it's a mirage. It's just a look. It's not what it really is behind closed doors. He says they're not happy. They're stuck. And they regret hurting you. He goes, and they're going to take accountability. They're going to stay stuck. And even if you ask, he didn't want me to ask for the apology, but I asked for the apology because I want to get on with this. I don't want to stay stuck no more. Like God unstuck me from that pain, but there's some things that we need closure with, right? And God says the closures if they want to come back now, it's because they want closure. They want this to just be over and done with. They're not looking to be with you. They're not looking, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. He says they just want this streak of bad luck to end already, and they want closure. They either, some want to attack you, some think you're doing something to them. They don't want to accept that it's their own karma. He goes, and so some people are just coming back let me just get this over with, and let's close this door and let's go on with our lives. He goes, but it's not going to be that easy, because was it easy for you when they hurt you? Did you have that opportunity to say, hey, just come, hey, let me make it right and then go back? No, he says they didn't give you no warning, no apology, no explanation, no closure. He goes, and then they have the audacity to come back and still play in your face, thinking that they're going to do the same thing they did to you 3 years ago or whatever, however long it's been. That they're going to play in your face, breadcrumb you, and take from you again. And God says, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They don't have to apologize, but they're going to stay stuck because you're closing this door. You're closing this door today, and they've ran out of time. They've had more than enough time to take accountability, and they don't want to. That's fine. He says, but you're going on with your life without them, and they're going to watch you go on and live your life, and you're going to be blessed, and you're going to get double for your trouble, and you're going to get everything that was owed to you and then some. They're going to pay for it through their energy, through their money's going to be short. Their luck's going to run out. He goes, and you're going to get double for your trouble. And he tells me to pray for them because they're that unhealed. They're stuck in their pride and ego that they can't even apologize or take accountability. And the things that they do when they were giving and when they were loving, they were doing it to all the wrong people. Those same people were using them as a resource and a resource only. They felt like they were needed because they were providing, but they weren't providing nothing. They were just a resource of money, and that's it. Because when the money ran out, so did their friendships and their relationships. And the same thing they did to me happened to them. And it'll continue to happen to them, God says, until they become aware that you cannot be out here doing things to people. You cannot be out here hurting God's children, especially his chosen, especially someone who didn't have it coming, especially somebody who was only loving to you and helpful and kind. He goes, and that eats away at them the most, is they know that you didn't have it coming, but yet still they feel like if they apologize, then that means they were in the wrong, and they can't be wrong. They're never wrong. Classic form of narcissism, right? He says, and they want to blame you for it. They want to blame you for them being in their karma. They want to blame you for them having whatever situation they're stuck in or going through. They want to blame you for it. He goes, and you're not doing nothing. He goes, you're minding your own business. You don't even pay attention to these people. You don't even worry about what they're doing in their life. You're minding your own business. He says, they think you took something from them. They feel like you took something from them, and you didn't take nothing. He goes, you took your power back. You took your strength back. He goes, what it was is they came to a realization that with everything, when they were on their high horse and when they were living their best life, it was off of your energy, Amy. God says it was your energy because you were so loving to these people. You gave to them that much that when they hurt you, it was easier for them to leave with things left unsaid, so that door would always be open for them to pull. And they're pulling from your energy and they're giving it to other people. They were starting businesses. They were starting families. They were in different relationships, and they were giving it all to the wrong people. And they're stuck with a lot of those people. Ungrateful people at that. Non-deserving people at that. And he says, no, and all they can think about is the one person who did deserve it was you. And they don't want to let you go now. Now they're starting to rethink their decisions and wishing they had another chance. And they're thinking, knowing your loving heart, that you would give them a second chance. That you loved them that much that you weren't going anywhere. You were good for it. They really believed. Hold on real quick. God says they really believed that they had you right where they wanted you. He says, and they're going to get a harsh reality check that they're not in. It's never going to be, they're never going to have it the way they used to, ever again. And he says the fact that they cannot even take accountability further proves where they're at in their journey in life, and why, more of a reason why you don't need nothing to do with those people. He goes, because you're too far gone already, and they know it, and that hurts them. He says, but you're to keep going forward. And that opportunity for them to take accountability has closed. That door has closed. And their punishment, God says, 7 years of bad luck. 10 years, 7 or 10 years of bad luck. I'm not wishing that. That's what he's telling me. That's their punishment. Of toxic relationships, the very things they left you for will be what they want, they'll have, God says. Because that's what they chose. He goes, and they had an opportunity to make it right, and they didn't. They wanted to be in their pride and ego. He goes, and that's just one lesson that they have to barely even begin to comprehend, to overcome. But you already have. They're still in the mindset that they're not wrong. They'll never say sorry. It's not them. He goes, they can't even comprehend it. They're stubborn. Stubborn mules, he says. They're stubborn. He goes, and there will be a death of their ego. He says, because, there's a saying that says, YOLO, you only live once. That's not true. You only die once, but you live forever. And one thing they're going to have to learn is that pride and the ego are going to have to fall. And the day they're ready to apologize, God says, you won't be there. You won't. Some of these people who hurt you were divine partners. Some of them were soulmates. He says, and they made it about you. Something was wrong with you. It was always you. You were complaining. You were arguing. You, because something didn't feel right in your heart, and you would question them, and they would make you feel crazy. Or something was wrong with you, with your body, and so you worked real hard to try to lose weight. He says it was always something with them. It was like they always wanted to make you feel like you were not good enough, and it messed with your head big time. It messed with your security and everything. He goes, but Amy, the truth of the matter is they were very insecure, and they projected all those things onto you. He says they were so insecure, and they were blown away by your intelligence and how you were creative and how smart you were and how beautiful you were. He goes, and they felt unworthy of you. They felt very unworthy, that they didn't deserve you. And how could someone like her like me? He goes, they couldn't wrap their heads around it. So they took advantage of that love. They took it for granted. And they figured the only way they could keep you in the sloop was to just give you a little bit and then dip out. Give you a little bit of time, or just a little conversation, or just a word, or just a text, and then just leave you in the air hanging. He goes, the breadcrumbs are not for you, they're for the birds. You fly like a eagle, the highest flying bird in the sky, closest to the sun. He says, and when they came back, they wanted more. They were mad. They're mad that they're in their situations. They want more of that energy. He goes, and they're not getting it. They're cut off for good. For good. He goes, and they know this. They're talking to you, or they're kind of being your friend. And he goes, but they're throwing rocks and hiding their hands, because those are not their intentions with you. And you know this because of their behavior in their past. You know this because they failed to take accountability. He goes, you know this, you know how they feel about you, because they don't even feel you're worth an apology, that it's not your fault, that you're asking for attention, that you're needy, that you're playing victim. He goes, and you know that those are not you. Those are you don't care for the apology. You're healed. He goes, but that's what they're saying, But people are looking, and they know of their past behavior, and they're seeing that they're full of shit. He goes, they're seeing how you move. Because anybody they ever gossip to, Or the friends that they went and laughed when it was fun and games when they were laughing at you. He goes, but they're not laughing no more. They're not. He says, they think that you did spell work on them. They think that you did black magic on them. He goes, and you didn't. And I didn't. I don't do that shit. It's universal law. Whatever you put out, you get back. So I don't want nothing coming to me and my kids, I'm blessed and I'm happy and I'm content. He goes, but that's something they would do because that's what they were doing to you. He goes, and their gifts have been removed. They don't have them no more. And the only way they think they can make something happen is if they get close to you, if they talk to you again, if they are near you, if they hear you. He goes, and when they do, he goes, all those memories come back. And they realize that all those people they chased, all those girls they chased, because you were the one for them. You were the one they prayed for. He goes, you were the one that they prayed and asked for, and I sent them to you. But because you were far away, they didn't have patience. They lived off of impulse. They lived off of here and now, right now. He goes, and so what they tried to do was anybody who threw anything at them, they took it, hoping to find a little part of anything that resembled you, reminded them of you, and anybody, they took it. That's why they went through a series of failed relationships. They went through a series of this numbness, this period in their life where they were numb to relationships and to people, and they built this immunity, this numbness up in their lives where they're emotionless, they're heartless. Some of them, one, I think he says, turned away and was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt her no more. I'm just going to stay away. But they're not free from their actions, their consequences, And I don't wish nothing bad on her. I really don't. Hold on real quick. I really don't care. But at the time when I was hurt, I fucking cared. Excuse my language. I cared a lot. I was in a bad way. I'll tell you what. It took a long time to get over that. And that whole time that I was ever hurt from anybody, they were pulling from my energy. That whole time, never knowing that it was never their energy, it was mine. And that's, God says, and that's owed to you. You'll get that back. You're getting that back. We're not doing this in 2025. We're not doing this no more. They can stay stuck all they want because they can refuse all they want. He goes, but they're not going where you're going. They're not worthy. And all this time, they made you feel like you are not good enough for them. He goes, when the whole time they didn't deserve your time, your energy, your presence. He goes, and now you're going to bless them with your absence. They don't have a place. There's no place for them in your life, this new life. You're on the verge of, they know what's going to happen in the future. They know what you're destined for, and it's greatness. And now they want a piece of that pie too. Now they want to come back. He goes, and they're not. God's making it a point. They're not coming back. There is no place for them in my life, God says. And he goes, and I know your heart, Amy. I know you you'll overlook it. That's your heart, Amy. That's why you're my chosen. Your heart is so pure. You have good intentions. You're not a vindictive person. He goes, you know what it feels like. So you want to give them that because you know what it feels like. He goes, but that doesn't make it right because you're only enabling their bad behavior. You're only taking away from your hard work and how far you've come by allowing them to treat you that way. It takes away from who you are as a person and your virtue and your character, and you come too far. You've overlapped them. He goes, you're too far away, too far gone. And they know it. You'll always be the one that got away. He goes, and they know that you were the one. So when they went through a series of all these different people, women that they went through, just because something about them remotely reminded them of you, they never knew that all those relationships were going to always be karmic relationships. That's why a lot of those relationships didn't last, or they were hurt, or they were used, or they were, because every relationship was showing them this is not the right person, and you know it in your heart of hearts, this is not the person for you. But they didn't care. They knew, but they didn't know. And they said, well, I'll get to her when I get to her, And they put me at the very end of things to do, or he goes, and by the time they got to you, they were not who you expected to see, and you were not what they expected, and they weren't what you expected. He goes, and they can't help but feel some type of way about it. Some are mad, some are jealous, they don't care. He goes, some of them still don't care. He goes, some of them are still stuck in their ego, and some of them have the same intentions of coming in and pulling on your heartstrings again. Some of them just want to know why their life came out the way it did, and they're mad because you're good, you're straight, because your intentions were always good. He goes, so your outcomes have came out good. You forgave them without the apology. He goes, and the very minimum thing they could do is apologize, and they won't even do that, because why should I? That's the pride and ego, their stubbornness, he says, and that will be their greatest fall. That'll be the hardest lesson, is learning to take accountability, because they're sure as heck not going to put it on you. It's not your burden. It never was your burden to carry their emotional baggage. But you see now that they were just hurt, and that all those things that you thought were wrong about you were never wrong about you. They were projections about how they felt about themselves. They were very insecure, God says. Grown men acting like children, gossiping, lying on your name, throwing dirt on your name, playing games, manipulating you, pulling on your energy and taking it and going to give it to someone else. He goes, starting businesses, starting families, homes, all kinds, in your name. He goes, with your love. They did that. He goes, and that's why they don't have them no more. That's why a lot of them are stuck, and they couldn't come to you if they wanted to. And they think that you're going to settle for being a secret or a side piece. No way. No way, no way. I have too much self-love. Too much. He goes, that door for them, that opportunity for them to apologize is closed. It's over. It's done. And you wish them well. And you don't want nothing bad for them. And you don't have no hard feelings to them. You are the same way you're leaving this situation, the same way you came in, with your heart on your sleeves, loving and honest and solid. He goes, everything they're not. And you're forcing them to look in the mirror, because for the rest of their life, God won't let them forget me. He won't. And they will search for, God says, they will search for you and every person after you. But they'll never have the real deal, because my energy is not regular. And all the things they tried to say were wrong with me were just to have some sort of control over me, for me to doubt myself, for me to doubt my gifts, to downplay myself, to put me in a vulnerable position so they could control me. But they see now that they never had control of me. I know that they never had control of me. The only one that was in my way and holding me back was myself. He goes, and you're past that already. You've grown from then. And you see now that these people haven't grown at all. They may be sorry. They may be in regret. They may be remorseful, but they ain't telling you that. They're not going to give you that. Because then that means that they knew this whole time what they were doing exactly. That means if they take accountability, all these things that they said, they knew what they're doing from day one, when they denied that they were doing anything, or they made you feel crazy. They would have to go back And that would just further prove that they were monsters. That would make them look so, not just make them look, it would make them look in the mirror and realize what a horrible person they really are. And how they did this to somebody so innocent. And they'll never know what could have been. They'll never forget me, God says. They'll never find that same love that I gave to them ever again. Never. That energy and that love, nothing remotely close to it. Because my ancestors are like, I'll be damned if you're going to give everything you've done and worked hard for to somebody who, my family is like, my dad's don't mess around. My earth father who died, he says, tell him to remember my face. He said, tell him to remember my face. They're going to remember me. He says, God says, now they're at a point where they wish they never even met you. Because their heart, it hurts them. It hurts them that they don't have you. It hurts them that you got away. It hurts that they mishandled you and took you for granted. He goes, but most of all, it hurts that you're not coming back. They'll never have you again. And they have to barely even begin to take accountability because they still haven't. They're still in denial, he says. Or maybe they made peace with it, but they never made peace with you, God says. And you're going to get that peace. And their punishment is to watch you move on and be happy. Because you deserve that, Amy. You never did nothing to them. You deserve that. That's their punishment. Is you getting to move on and live your life happy and free and with love. With somebody who truly loves you and appreciates you. And all they could do was watch you walk away out of their life forever. Because it was okay when they were walking out of your life. And when you cried and when you begged, they laughed at you. They didn't care. They played on that. They used it to their advantage. Now they're the ones getting used. They're the ones getting played. And I don't think it's funny, and I'm not making fun of them at all. I think it sucks for anybody. But nobody knows more about that feeling than me. Because they don't deserve your friendship. They don't have a place in your life. They're not here to take accountability and pay attention to the ones who do apologize, how they go about it. What do you feel when they apologize? Do you feel they're being authentic, or are they going around it saying, I'm sorry you thought that. I'm sorry you felt that way. I didn't know you thought that I did that. Well, I never intended for that to happen. If they walk around the apology, even speaks even more. He says, don't let them walk around it. He goes, they don't have to apologize. They're probably not. They rather make you think you're crazy, but you know you're not, because everybody who said you were crazy now seems crazy. And everybody who put spell work on you, it's backfired, and now it's taking a toll on their health and their looks. They've aged rapidly while you are aging in reverse. He goes, because I'm giving you back all that time and energy that you spent in your mind, entrapped in your mind. They had you in this cage, your heart in a cage, and they didn't want you to love anybody else, but they didn't want you yet. They said, I'll get to you when I get to you, but they made sure they ran through every single person and thing they could until they got to you. And by the time they got to you, you're already gone. And they'll live with that the rest of their life. He goes, but you'll go on with yours, and you'll be happy, and you'll get what you deserve. What's coming to you, God says, what's coming for me, he says, nobody from the past can put their hand in it, can get a piece of it, can take it away from you, swap it, change it. It's going to be yours. And they're going to cry. They're going to cry when they see what happens for you. because you did the work, because you loved when nobody else loved them. You loved them in their darkest. God says you were the only person in their life who ever cared about them. He says you're the only person who loved them more than anybody in their life. Nobody cared for them. Nobody paid that much attention to them like you did. Nobody gave them advice. Even when they were the meanest to you, nobody calmed them down the way you did. Nobody tamed their anger and tamed their aggression. Nobody could disarm them like you could. He says, and that's something they're going to live with the rest of their life. They'll never find it again. They're going to continue with these. Some of them, God says, have learned to just accept that they know they lost you. And they'll settle for the toxic relationships, but God says it's not going to be that easy. Because they're going to be coming across the worst of the worst. Worse than them. And every single one of them, he says, will leave them in shambles. Rob them blind. He goes, rob them blind. He goes, hurt them beyond they ever hurt you. He goes, because that's what they wanted for you. That's what they gave out to the world and to other people, not just you. He goes, they did it to a lot of people. And some, he goes, the ones that think that, well, I'll just accept that and I'm good with that. Yeah, that's why God says the devil always celebrates too soon. But God says, but he who laughs last, right? What's that saying? Laughs best. He says, they always celebrate too soon. They always think they got the victory. And they always want all the glory, God says, but the glory is for God. Whether they believe in him or not, they're going to know he exists. And that's why he says, touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. He goes, because for a long time they thought they got away with it. So much that they thought they could come back and do it again. And it's only giving them harsher repercussions. And the blowbacks are fast. And anything they're doing is coming back immediately to them. Immediately. And it's pissing them off. He goes, but they won't come near you. They ain't going to touch you. They don't have enough courage to face you and look you in the eyes without wanting to break down and cry because of what they done to you and how bad they hurt you. And they know you're owed the apology. They know you deserve it. Nobody deserves it more than you. But God gave it to me, and I forgive them, and I wish them well. But I can't. God says you can't give them any more of your time. No more. Not even a second of it. They can watch you all they want, but you're not giving them no more. He says, I've cut that off, and they know it. They feel it. They know it in their hearts. They can't feel your energy no more. They can only watch from the sidelines. When the whole time you were rooting for them, you were waiting for them, you were extending your hand to them and more. He goes, and they slapped your hand away. You got them up and running. They ran off with somebody else. He goes, they gave it to all the wrong people. He goes, but it's okay. They never understood that all those karmic people they came across was to show them that who they did want and who was the right one. He goes, and it's always been you. They knew that from the beginning, but they wanted their cake and eat it too. But it was a very expensive cake. And he says, and if they keep coming for you now, he says it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. Literally, because they're standing on their last foot. And you'll know who's doing the spell work because now they're mentally unstable. And everybody sees it. Their whole friend group sees it. And you're the only one there being compassionate and patient with them. And still, God says they can't even do, it's not my problem, he says. It's not your problem. Keep going forward. Don't look back again. And that's what I'm going to do. And I suggest that anybody who's going through that, use the discernment, listen to your intuition, don't doubt yourself, don't dumb yourself down, and don't undervalue yourself. Don't play your gifts down. Don't downplay yourself. Stand in your full strength, your full potential, and embrace your gifts and embrace your differences. Embrace everything that is odd about you, because that's what makes you unique from everybody else. And that's what makes you stand out. That's what separates you from everybody. And that's the very thing that's going to lead you to success. You need these people in your life that hurt you. They're here for a reason, because sometimes we don't want to step out of our comfort zone and be strong, but they push us to the point where we don't have a choice but to be strong, or we don't know our fullest potential until we have to bust it out and react and give them that. And they show us how strong we are. They show us that. So God says, so always pray for your enemies. Pray for those who want to hurt you, and pray for your enemies, and be kind, because forgive them, because that's what God did. He forgave us. So forgive them. Teach them, because they don't know how. Be the example for them, because they don't know how. They're all in timeout right now, God says. Grown men acting like children. So they're going to sit in timeout like children. Take away their toys, meaning their gifts, their money, whatever meant everything to them. They're taking it away. They're in timeout. They may have lost their gifts. They may be blocked spiritually from connecting with God. They may, and I don't know if it's temporary or however long it is, they may be, their intuition's off. Everything's closed off right now. They're in timeout. They're in jail, spiritual jail. And it has nothing to do with me, but everything to do with the choices they made and coming against God's chosen, and being prideful and stubborn and being in their ego. It has everything to do with them and their behavior and their actions, because actions have consequences. So like I said, we're not responsible for the way people treat us. We're responsible for how we react to it and respond to it. And always do everything from a loving place in your heart. Bye. I'll see you later.